Beijing never truly sleeps. Even at 2 in the morning. Its glass towers pulse with light. Its endless veins of asphalt hum with the sound of tires cutting through drizzle. That night, September 11, 2025. The air in Chaoyang district was heavy, thick with humidity and the metallic scent of rain. At 2:17 a.m., a single scream split the quiet. Woods would later recall the echo. It lasted only a heartbeat, then vanished beneath the city's noise. When the first responders arrived, they found the body of actor Menglong, 37, sprawled across the marble courtyard of his apartment complex. The police cordoned off the area, took photographs, and released an official statement by sunrise. The deceased fell from height after consuming alcohol. No signs of criminal activity were detected. The case should have ended there, a celebrity tragedy chalked up to drink, depression, or carelessness. But Beijing has always been a city that buries truth in plain sight. By noon, the internet whispered a different story. Shots began to circulate. In one, the surveillance footage from the building's security camera stopped exactly 17 seconds before the fall. In another, Yu's last text message, sent to a close friend, was found erased, leaving only a timestamp in an empty bubble. One anonymous account posted a single line on Weibo before being deleted minutes later. He knew something he shouldn't. Actually, everything remained clean. The Chaoyang Police Bureau repeated their statement. Yu's mother released a trembling video asking the public to stop spreading rumors and let him rest. But silence never truly calms suspicion, it only feeds it. The more the city tried to move on, the more the whispers grew, curling through chatrooms and underground forums like smoke through cracks in a wall. It was during one of those long nights, in a dim office at the Supreme People's Court, that Chief Justice Zhang Jun received a sealed report. The document was thin, too thin for a case that had ignited the nation's curiosity. He flipped through the pages, routine statements, timestamps, toxicology results. Everything screamed neat. Too neat. Zhang Jun was not a man who believed in coincidence. At 69, the Chief Justice had seen power twist laws, watched men rewrite morality with signatures and seals. His office overlooked the Forbidden City. From that height, he often said, Beijing looked beautiful precisely because you couldn't see its dirt. He pressed his thumb against the folder, hesitated, then called in his aide. Special Review Committee, he said. Codename, Echo. By dawn, Special Panel Number 23 was born. Its mandate, re-examine the Menglong case under the suspicion of external interference. Its existence was secret, even from most within the court. A handful of senior judges and investigators knew of it. Officially, the fall had been ruled an accident. Unofficially, the Supreme Court had just declared war on something it didn't yet understand. The first report arrived within a week. A cybersecurity expert traced the CCTV blackout to an external signal routed through a government-owned server in Tianjin. Whoever tampered with the footage had clearance above district level. The engineer who maintained the cameras had vanished 2 days after the incident. His apartment was found empty. Toothbrush still wet. Came the second discovery. Menglong's bank statements showed an unexplained transfer. 120,000 yuan from a shell company registered under Beijing East Media Consulting Limited, a firm known to handle publicity contracts for several ministries. The transfer occurred just 12 hours before his death. On paper, it was a consulting fee. No contract was attached. The investigators followed the trail deeper. One by one, people who had worked with Yu began to vanish from contact. Phones disconnected. Studios emptied. Journalist who had tried to publish an exposé was found on a train to Guangzhou, alive, but shaken, refusing to speak. Handed a single flash drive to the court representative and whispered he was going to expose them. Inside that drive were fragments of an unfinished documentary. Menglong's voice, tired but resolute, could be heard narrating over blurred images of boardrooms and luxury dinners. They say entertainment is power. But it's not power, it's camouflage. Behind every shining face on screen, there's someone in the dark pulling the strings. The file ended abruptly, replaced by static. When Zhang Jun listened to the recording, he didn't move. His face reflected the flickering light of the monitor. Eyes calm but unreadable. After a long silence, he said quietly, "This is no longer about an actor. This is about control." That same night, a message appeared on the internal communication line of the court's investigative network. It came from an unregistered device, encoded but traceable only for an instant before it self-deleted. It contained 4 words. Stop digging, Chief Justice. For the first time in decades, Zhang Jun felt the familiar chill that only truth could bring, the kind that warned him he was stepping into something immense. Something ancient in its architecture of silence. That he was not investigating a death, he was trespassing on a system designed to bury it. Over the following days, Special Panel 23 worked in near darkness. Windows taped for privacy. Cell phones confiscated. A forensic analyst reconstructed the corrupted CCTV feed. Frame by frame, the imagery emerged. Corner of the rooftop. Before the moment of the fall, stood not one silhouette, but 2. The second figure was taller, wearing a long coat. Moved closer, then froze, as if sensing the camera's gaze. And just before the feed cut, the reflection of a phone's flashlight glimmered against glass, one flicker of light swallowed by black. Investigators brought the footage to Zhang Jun. He didn't speak. Only his hand tightened around the edge of the monitor until his knuckles turned white. Outside, rain began to fall again over Beijing. Droplets tracing lines down the courthouse windows like tears too stubborn to fall. Somewhere within the labyrinth of state and silence, a circle of names started to appear: businessmen, ministry officials, investors with unexplainable access. Files were linked by encrypted signatures, all leading to a covert network known internally as the Circle. The Circle's purpose was simple: manage information, silence dissent, and protect high-value figures who fed the state's cultural machine. Menglong had stumbled upon a ledger that detailed secret payments to certain state-backed production houses. He wasn't supposed to. The last line in his notebook, recovered from the wreckage of his apartment, read: "Disappear, tell them it wasn't gravity that killed me." By the end of October, whispers within the Supreme Court turned into murmurs of fear. Files went missing overnight. A car tailing one of the panel's analysts rammed into a wall. The driver's ID was fake. When Zhang Jun visited the accident site, he found a folded note inside the glove compartment. "Has no jurisdiction here." He looked up at the city skyline, the neon lights trembling in puddles. "We'll expand ours," he muttered. The night the report was finalized, Beijing's power grid flickered. Monitors dimmed across the courthouse's backup generators groaned to life. On the Chief Justice's desk, a single folder lay open, stamped in red. Evidence classified, Project Shadow. Last paragraph of the report, typed in trembling keystrokes, concluded: Subject Menglong's death exhibits clear indicators of external orchestration consistent with coordinated suppression activity. Responsible entity, internal network codename The Circle. Recommendation: full-scale judicial exposure. Zhang Jun closed the file. The echo of thunder rolling through the city like a verdict waiting to be spoken. The fall of one man had become a mirror for an empire of silence. And somewhere deep in the machinery of justice, a whisper began to rise. Not of guilt, not of vengeance, but of something far more dangerous. Truth. The city did not know. Being moved as it always had, its markets opening with the scent of steamed buns, its subways humming with routine. Only a handful of people inside the Supreme People's Court knew that the walls of China's highest judicial body were closing in on something no one dared to name aloud. The file labeled Project Shadow was now locked in a biometric vault under Chief Justice Zhang Jun's personal authorization. 3 days after the report's completion, it issued an internal memorandum, commenced preliminary hearings, code Operation Echo. The document never appeared in any official archive. Yet that winter, at midnight, the great marble courthouse of Beijing glowed with artificial light. Guards lined the corridors. No press. No cameras, no spectators. Only the echoes of footsteps and the muted hum of fluorescent lamps. At the center of it all sat Zhang Jun. In the black robe of judgment. His presence was quiet, almost spectral. In front of him, 3 empty chairs awaited the accused, names replaced by code names: Director C, Officer Han, Mr. Liu. Men who, on paper, did not exist, but their bank records, encrypted emails, signatures tied them to the circle. When the digital screen flickered on, their holographic images appeared, faces blurred, voices distorted. The witnesses spoke from undisclosed locations. The first, a trembling man identified only as Witness 9, described how entertainment funds were laundered through cultural initiatives. His voice cracked as he recounted the night Menglong called him. Said he found a ledger, real names, real money. He wanted to show it to the media. He thought it would make things better. Silence. The sound of him breathing through static filled the courtroom like a ghost trying to finish a confession. Jun leaned forward. And what happened to the ledger? They took it. From his apartment. The same night he died. Outside the courthouse. A thin mist crawled over the streets. Marked vans idled with their engines running. Inside. The temperature seemed to drop, even the lights flickered. Though the building itself was afraid of what it was hearing. The second witness was a forensic officer, a woman with calm eyes who refused to give her name. She spoke of erased fingerprints. Autopsy reports. And an unidentified chemical trace found under Menglong's nails, a sedative banned since 2019. He didn't fall because he was drunk, she said. Unconscious before he went over the edge. Her words shattered the official narrative. For a moment, nobody spoke. Zhang Jun remained still. His fingers tapping once, twice. Against the wood of his bench, a sound like a heartbeat in the dark. The final testimony came from within. A member of the circle. Rested in silence and hidden under witness protection. Build the machinery of their empire. We weren't killers. We were editors, the man said. We didn't delete people. We deleted stories. He described how the organization controlled media narratives. How they silenced journalists, erased data. Bought silence with fear. Menglong was a glitch. He wasn't supposed to see the file. When he did. The order came from the top, make it look accidental. He was drinking. It was easy. Chill passed through the courtroom. The words from the top echoed like a warning. But Zhang Jun did not flinch. No one is above the law, he said quietly. Not even shadows. The trial continued for days in near total isolation. Documents arrived sealed in black envelopes. A dozen names appeared on classified lists, officials, producers, ministry advisors. Each thread pulled revealed another hidden knot. The investigation spread like cracks across marble. You could almost hear the stone groan beneath the weight of truth. And then, the retaliation began. Servers crashed. Files vanished. One morning, Jun's driver found the courthouse gates spray painted with a single phrase in Mandarin, "Let sleeping truths lie." The Chief Justice didn't order it cleaned. Instead, he told the guards to leave it there. "Better we see the warning," he said. "It means they're afraid." By late December, the circle had a face, one that shocked even the investigators. Deputy Minister long believed to be a reformist was named the silent architect of the network. His name appeared on the leaked ledger as primary coordinator. The evidence was irrefutable: secret meetings, falsified audits, and payments linked directly to state media branches. Zhang Jun summoned the National Tribunal. The proceeding was swift, clinical, merciless. As the accused stood before him, he read from the final verdict. The court finds that the defendants operated an extrajudicial network aimed at manipulating public discourse and obstructing justice. The death of Menglong, though staged as accidental, constitutes deliberate homicide under Article 232 of the criminal law. A gasp filled the courtroom. Cameras were still forbidden. But the stenographer's hands shook as she typed. Outside, thunder rolled over Beijing like the growl of a waking giant. The Chief Justice looked up from his papers. His eyes were tired. But his voice cut through the silence. The law exists not because men are innocent, but because they are tempted. When the trial ended, the lights flickered one last time. Files were sealed. Defendants disappeared into state custody. No official record of sentencing was ever released. But within days, entire departments of Beijing East Media Consulting Limited went dark. Websites erased. Buildings emptied. As though the city itself was swallowing the evidence. For a brief moment, the people believed. A secret transcript from the trial leaked online. #Justice for Menglong trended across Chinese social media for less than an hour before being wiped clean. Yet in that hour, something happened. People screenshot the phrase, printed it, etched it into walls, whispered it in bars. A single word endured: truth. Weeks later, a quiet memorial appeared outside the Chaoyuan apartment building. No cameras. No news crews, only flowers. Paper cranes. And a note that read, "Gravity didn't take you. They did. With you." Inside the Supreme Court, Jun stood by his window. watching the snow drift over the city. The reflection of the forbidden city shimmered in the glass, beautiful, distant, unreachable. His aide entered the room. "Sir," he said softly, "it's over." Zhang Jun turned, his face half hidden in the shadow of the window frame. "Nothing is ever over when the truth has enemies," he replied. A drawer and slid in the last file marked Project Shadow. The cabinet clicked shut with a weight of finality. The wind howled through the alleys of Beijing, carrying fragments of voices long silenced. Somewhere in the darkness, a phone buzzed once, displaying a message from an unknown number. It did well, but the circle never ends. At the screen, then let it fade to black. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to breathe. Justice had been served, or so it appeared. Yet deep down, he knew the truth: power never dies. It simply changes shape. As dawn broke, the city returned to life. Vendors opened their stalls, buses roared. 1 million people went about their day, unaware of the battle fought in silence above them. In a forgotten file room of the Supreme Court, light flickered on. The folder labeled Project Shadow, closed, slid forward on its own. Just slightly, as if exhaling. No one was there to see it. And somewhere, far beyond the courthouse walls, a whisper rose again in the static of the morning air, soft, defiant, unending. Truth never falls.